Welcome to another playthrough of Fallout 4. This is Andrew, and the run this time is what I call my own two hands rules. That means I've set a few rules for myself. First, I can only use equipment either the game gives to me and makes me use, or that I have crafted myself out of materials that I have collected or scrapped along the way. So for example, the game forced me to put on the Vault 111 jumpsuit. So I'm allowed to wear that for as long as I want. I can upgrade it and so on.
Come on. Oh,
However,
God.
any weapons or other armor that I find along the way, I can't use.
I'll find who did this,
Now,
and I'll get
the
shot.
other point of the my own two hands rules is that it's a self-sufficiency rule set, which means that I can't take any companions unless the game forces me to use them. So for example, I'm going to meet Dogmeat. The game makes Dogmeat join you right away, so I can use Dogmeat. That's fine. I can use other NPC allies for the duration of when the game forces me to use them. And that'll come up whenever it comes up. I can pick things up and carry them, I just can't equip them. Now that's going to cause a problem here in the vault, because until I get the Pip-Boy, I can't decide what I equip. So for instance, if I picked up this security baton, it would automatically equip and I'd fail my own rules. So I have to just leave it there until I get the Pip-Boy. I mean, in theory, I could pick it up and it would be in my hand and I could just not use it, but there's a bunch of rad roaches coming up and I'm not going to be able to fight them with it because then I would be using it. So I am just going to leave it where it is until I have a way to deal with it. So, I'm gonna keep going along here. Now, I've done this run before on my own time, so I've learned some of the pitfalls that I have to look out for.
Roaches? What the
Like
hell?
that fact that I can't pick up any weapons in here yet. When I first decided I was going to do this rule set, I thought I was really hamstringing myself because you can't create weapons from scratch. But then I remembered that the Wasteland Workshop DLC includes forges for creating weapons and armor from scratch. So I realized it was actually way more doable than I originally thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to have to do an unarmed run and just, pump up my Iron Fist and a bunch of stuff. The biggest pitfall that I have to keep an eye out for, however, is radiation. Eventually, I'm going to have to go into the glowing sea. And that means radiation. And I can only use armor that I've built myself, and it takes a really long time before you get any decent armor out of the Armor Forge. And it also requires a whole butt-ton of lead in order to lead line everything, and even then you're only getting your rad resistance up to a certain level. So, this rad roach meat. Come on. Stupid controls. So when I did this run the first time, I spent an awful lot of time putting perks into the endurance tree, because there's a bunch of stuff in there that will give you rad resistance and ways to mitigate radiation. Another big problem with mitigating radiation is that a lot of the meds that you need to deal with radiation, you can't actually, you can't always craft those. They require specific material components. I'm going to leave that gun there for now. I'm going to grab the eyeglasses. I can't use them, but it doesn't automatically equip them. So I'm just going to leave all that stuff until I get the Pip-Boy. Some Radaway. Okay, so one thing I need to keep track of as I'm going along is drugs that I pick up. For instance, that Radaway, I can't use that Radaway. So right now I have a Radaway in my inventory that I need to remember that I am not allowed to use. Same thing's going to go for stim packs, all sorts of drugs. And to be perfectly honest, that was my biggest problem the first time I did this run, was losing track. Same thing for ammunition. Any of that 10mm ammo in there that I picked up, I can't use. I can sell it, so it's okay to carry it around. Now all of this Radroach meat is perfectly good once I cook it, because right now it counts as crafting components. And once I cook it, then that becomes something that I've made myself, so it's perfectly legal under my rules.
What happened here?
They
Where
all
is
died,
everyone?
Dave. And the Pip-Boy. So now I can go back and grab all those things and then unequip them. Loading. So much RAM. See, I have my jumpsuit, I have my wedding ring. I can't use those eyeglasses, so I'm not going to do anything with those. I don't have any weapons yet. Okay, let's get this door open, and then I'll go back and loot properly. So I guess I can talk about my build now. So let's take a look at my special. Okay, so my big ones are endurance. Like I said before, I need that for the various radiation perks. And intelligence, A, to just give me the XP bump, but also a lot of the crafting stuff. I bought it up to 7 right off the bat because that lets me get all the way down to chemist, which I'll need to craft various drugs. So I'm gonna take all of these, all this ammo, because I can just sell it back later. Nope. Can't use that. Yeah, I'm gonna come back for you, sure. Okay, now I can go ahead and get out of the vault. Done.
Enjoy your return to the surface, and thank you for choosing Vault-Tec.
And we're back up to the surface world. Oh, the reason that I am worried about radiation, there's another Radaway, in the glowing sea, the big reason is that as far as I've been able to tell, there is no way to craft power armor from scratch. You have to get a power armor frame, which, because it is usable, I'm not really counting it as crafting materials. I'll count drugs that I can turn into other better drugs as crafting materials, even if I could just use them straight. But the power armor frame seems like too much. It's a permanent thing that I could just wear and use, and that seems against the spirit of the rule set. So I am going to do this entire run without power armor. Now that does mean that I'm going to get a lot of fusion cores that I can just sell for decent money. Some blood leaf. So right now, all of the drugs and such that I have in my inventory, I can't use. I've got some Radaway. Now, if I were smart, I'd set up some kind of system of like drug coolers and stuff where I put the stuff that I find in one of them, and the stuff that I make in another one, and I only carry so much with me at a time. And I'll try and do something like that, keep track of stuff, but
It's really you.
it me. Codsworth, buddy.
You're still here. So other people could still be alive.
Okay, so that's a leap.
Of course I'm
He's a robot.
Surely you don't think a little
A.
radiation
So
will deter the
people
pride of General Atomics International?
alive. These are
You
some
seem
jumps
the worse for wear.
there, Andrew.
Best not let the wife see you in that state. Where is the missus, by the way?
Oh, she dead.
They killed her.
Sir, these things you're saying, these terrible things, I believe you need a distraction.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
distraction to calm this dire mood. It's been ages since we've had a proper family activity. Checkers, or perhaps
Codsworth, you're the
cards.
worst.
Sean does so love that game.
Is this really the direction you want to go with this conversation, Codsworth? Let's try nothing makes
It
sense.
doesn't make sense. There's just no reason someone would take my son.
It's worse than I thought. You're suffering from hunger-induced paranoia.
No,
200 years will do that, I'm afraid.
dude.
200 years? What? Are you?
A bit over 210, actually, sir. Or give or take a little. For the Earth's rotation and some minor dings to the old chronometer. That means you're 2 centuries late for dinner. Perhaps I can whip you up a
It
snack.
really is just as amazing how durable everything in Fallout is. Like, it's designed
You're acting...
to decay just to a certain point.
What's wrong?
and then just hover there for centuries.
Oh, sir, it's been just horrible. 2 centuries with no one to talk to, no one to serve. I spent the first 10 years trying to keep the floors waxed, but nothing gets out nuclear fallout from vinyl wood.
That's a bit of an awkward line.
And don't get me started about the futility of dusting a collapsed house. And the car, how do you polish rust?
But I like that one. That's a good line. Stay with me, buddy.
pal. Focus.
I'm afraid I don't know anything, sir. The bombs came and all of you left in such a hurry. I thought for certain you and your family were dead. I did find this holotape. I believe the missus was going to present it to you as a surprise. But then, well, everything happened.
Well, it's something.
Let it serve as a reminder, sir, of happier days.
Sunday, Monday,
I'm
happier
feeling
days.
sorry for myself. Shall we search the
Okay.
neighborhood together?
I'm gonna let Codsworth take point on this because I'm incredibly weak right now.
Have you seen anything dangerous?
Oh, just the usual, sir. Pesky neighborhood dogs and mosquitoes. Shall I investigate?
Oddly enough, no dogs and no mosquitoes.
All right. Lead the way.
Proud to serve, sir.
I am pretty hardy.
This quick, shall we?
Hey, there we go.
Care of that.
Sneak attack! Okay, Codsworth. Okay, I'm actually doing pretty well on these guys, so let's get some more XP. Punch. 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 Ugh, I hate bloatflies. The shooting their larva at you thing. Ugh. And the other problem is I don't have any usable healing items right now. Okay. Okay, Codsworth.
Mr. Andrew, your family isn't here either. They're really gone, aren't they?
Yeah, buddy, they're gone. But it's
Thanks for
okay.
trying, Codsworth.
You can't give up, sir. What about the city? Concord is nearby, and, well, the people there have only shot at me a few times.
Thanks,
Thanks for your
Codsworth.
help, Codsworth.
Good luck, sir. You'll find young Sean. I know you will. I shall remain here and secure the home front.
Okay, so now, first things first. I'm gonna go collect all of my crafting stations. Actually, first things, yeah, I'm gonna get the workshop because I need to be able to move stuff. And I'm going to drop off all my stuff. I literally mean all of my stuff. Once it's time for me to actually be looking at heading toward a merchant, I can decide what I want to pick back up. But for now, I'm just going to put everything in the workstation. This game's 2 years old. I'm not really going to worry about spoiler alerts or anything. If you've never played it before, things to know. The cooking station is over here. There are some cockroaches in some of the houses. And then behind this yellow house, you will find a chemistry station and some fertilizer. So I'm going to pick that up. And I just like to consolidate all of my crafting stations over in this main, like, cupboard area over here. Let's grab some of this stuff. Get a bunch of rubber. Now go back for that cooking station. And I have all sorts of meat. I'm just gonna scrap stuff along the way back there. I hate having a messy Sanctuary Hills. Grab that. Okay. I usually put it out here on the sidewalk. Now I can and hopefully I do enough crafting right now, I can get myself up to another level. What do I need to upgrade? Okay. Let's leave that. So right now I'm getting plenty of wood, plenty of steel. Okay, so what? Where do they put? It's under power. Manufacturing. No, not manufacturing. Is it manufacturing? Machinery. Yep, there it is. Okay, so for the armor forge, I need to get armor. For the weapon forge, I need gun nut. The auto loom is good for making charisma items, like colored suits, and unfortunately, it doesn't make any hats that you can apply. It doesn't make any items that you can apply ballistic fiber to. So I can pretty much just ignore the railroad if I want to. The ammunition plant, that is the key. I need gun nut and I need science. I'm going to be going for Armorer first, then Gun Nut, and Science. Because the ammunition plant is critical. I need to get a fertilizer system going. And I need to get steel. Once I have, and I have plenty of steel, so that's not a problem. But once I have fertilizer plus steel equals 45 caliber ammunition. And eventually I'll be able to make a combat rifle. That's going to be my go-to weapons platform. Other like 10 millimeter requires lead, and lead is unfortunately very hard to come by. It's very heavy, so you can't carry a whole lot of it back, and B, it's not very common. There are a few places where you can get it in decent quantities. Every makeshift battery will have a little bit of lead in it, so that's a good source. And you'll find those all over because a lot of weapons workbenches like this that you find sprinkled around the wasteland the Commonwealth, will have a battery just sitting under them. So remember how I said I wanted to do some sort of organizational system? I'm going to make some coolers. Like that. And I am... So... what I'm going to use these for is this one here is going to be for drugs that I make. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in here yet. This could be for food that I make. That makes sense. So drugs and food. And that way I can just, anything that I find, I can dump into the workstation to use for crafting.